Hi all, I want to show you how to use our maintenance request feature within iCM today. And this feature is primarily for our residential program, but some other administrative staff will also have access to this. We will be keeping this supervisor level access only. So our FLDs, senior FLDs, program directors, certain administrative support, and then our floaters will also have access to the maintenance request feature within iCM. Now, if there is, on the weekend or maybe an evening, or maybe if you're an FLD and you're out on vacation, if there is an urgent request when you are not working in your home, our urgent requests, they're going to remain the way that they have always been. So we are not going to be submitting urgent requests through iCM. If there is an urgent matter, we are still going to pick up that phone and we're going to call our maintenance staff. So that's Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You're going to call our maintenance director, Mike Watts. And then after that, during Monday through Friday, so after hours, Monday through Friday, the weekends and any holidays, we have a maintenance on-call number that staff can call or that you can call, okay? So again, just want to reiterate, coming through iCM, submitting maintenance requests, you are only going to be submitting non-urgent maintenance requests within iCM. Anything urgent, we want to pick up the phone and we want to call. And I will walk you through how to submit a maintenance request. So on your dashboard, you will see this orange block that says maintenance request, and you can go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to come back to the screen to kind of walk you through this. But we want to add a request. So we're going to come up to this green button here and we're going to say we want to add. And then here we have a description box. So what we are asking is if you have multiple requests for one location, we want you to put all of that on one ticket or one request for the maintenance team. So if I am doing it for our test house, I think it's Arundel, what is this? Test home in Arundel. If I have 5 different requests for this home, I'm going to put that all in the same description box. I'm not going to submit 5 different requests for the same home, okay? If you're a supervisor and you oversee multiple homes and you have multiple requests for multiple homes, then obviously for each home, you would want to put in a different request or a different ticket. But anything for the same home or the same location, that can go into one request. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So in the description box, this is just sort of my example here. We're going to say washer in FLD area is making a loud noise. Cabinet in hall bath is loose and falling off, and I'm just pressing enter to go into the next line. Railing on deck is loose, and old TV, oops. New TV needs to be mounted on the wall. Okay, and you can keep going if you had a whole bunch. I'm hoping that you don't have, that many requests for one location, but you do see these little lines here in the corner, and just like any other part in iCM, if you see those lines, you can always expand that box, okay? And then in the area, this is what we want to include to help the maintenance technician actually figure out where in the house we are referring to. So I've already typed this. I'm going to go ahead and select it, but you would type that in. And I would just go, item by item. So this first item, washer and FLD area is making a loud noise. That's in the FLD apartment. Cabinet in hall bath is loose and falling off. Hall bath at the top of the stairs. So that way they know exactly what bathroom they're going to. Railing on deck is loose. I'm talking about the back deck left of the ramp so that they know exactly where to look to see that loose railing. They don't have to walk around the entire deck and try and figure it out. Old TV in Joe Smith's rooms need to be removed. Joe's room is the blue one on the second floor. We can't just assume that our maintenance tech knows exactly whose room is whose and which bathroom it is that we're talking about. So this is where we want to be as detailed as possible, just to help them out so that they don't walk into your house and they don't know where they're going. Okay. And you can keep typing in this box. I kind of shortened it so that you guys could see it all in this one text box, but it will let you keep typing. And it'll just move over so that you can't see it. But you can type as much as you want into this box, okay? For the priority, again, I'm just going to reiterate, we are not submitting urgent requests within ICM. So we are always going to keep it as normal. So it's already highlighted for you. That's the default. So keep normal blue, because even if you do mark something as urgent and you put it in here, that is not going to help move your ticket to the top of the priority list for maintenance. Maintenance needs to look at all of the tickets on a daily basis, and they need to figure out, you know, where that lands on their priority list to make sure that things are taken care of in, you know, all of our almost 50-some homes at this point. So we want to make sure that if it is truly urgent, we're picking up the phone and we're calling. And then even if we think it's urgent and we want it addressed quickly, marking it as urgent within ICM is not going to guarantee that that happens, okay? So we just want to keep this normal. Don't do anything in this part. For the request type, we have a few different options. And we just ask that you pick the most appropriate one for your requests or requests. So in this case, I have multiple, you know, things that I'm putting on this one ticket or this one request. So I'm just going to pick sort of the generic maintenance. I have many different things. It's not just appliances. It's not just that washing machine that I mentioned. It's not just removal of a TV. You know, I have a lot of other things going on, so I'm just going to pick maintenance. So if all else fails and you're looking through this list and you're like, I don't think any of that really matches, just pick the generic maintenance, okay? Also want to point out things like electrical and HVAC or plumbing. These, again, would be those non-urgent requests. So don't, just because these are options, don't put them in ICM if it's something that should be looked at right away. So if it's the middle of summer and your air conditioner is not working, that's an urgent request. We do not want to put that into ICM. We want to pick up the phone and we want to call. Same thing with plumbing. If there's a major leak in your house, just because you have the option to put in a plumbing ticket within ICM, that's an urgent request. We want to pick up the phone and call instead of putting something in here, okay? Same thing with electrical. You know, if there are loose exposed wires in your house and somebody could get shocked, that's an urgent request. We don't want to put that in ICM. So these would be those kind of non-urgent requests that you want to put into ICM, okay? I also want to point this one out to you, this IT option. Keep in mind that other agencies utilize ICM. So at this time, I can't remove IT as an option for Bella McCree because other agencies are using the same module and they're using it for IT purposes. Here at Bella McCree, if you submit an IT request within ICM, it is not going to be addressed. We are using the maintenance request within ICM strictly for maintenance. So for IT issues, anything with your computer or printer or internet, anything like that, we are sticking with our current policy of calling DNA if you need to get your supervisor involved or reach out to our office manager. But if you put in a request for IT within ICM, it will not be addressed, okay? That is not something that maintenance is going to be able to help you with. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click maintenance. This request date and time, this automatically populates for you based on the date and the time that you have entered into this maintenance request option here. So I would suggest just leaving it as is. You can click on it, just like anything else that's kind of highlighted in blue in ICM, and you can change the date and the time, but keep in mind, the process that we use here at Bella McCree for this is that our maintenance directors are looking at the maintenance requests every day. Every morning when they come in, and they can see when a maintenance request was actually submitted. So something like backdating it or, you know, picking a future date or anything like that, that's not anything that's going to help get your ticket addressed any faster. And it's something that when it hits the maintenance director's desk, they're probably likely going to change it to the correct date so that it doesn't cause any confusion for their records. So I would suggest keeping the request date and time as whatever populates for you by default within iCM, okay? This needed by date and time, you are going to leave blank unless you have had a conversation with Mike or with Chris, our maintenance. Mike is the maintenance director, and then Chris is the assistant maintenance director. So unless you've had a conversation with them and they've asked you to put in a needed by date and time, like a deadline for them, then I would not put anything in this needed by date or time. I know that, you know, we might see something as urgent within our own home, and we might say, hey, you know, I'd really like that fixed by the end of next week or the end of this week or something like that. But just recognizing that our maintenance team gets flooded with requests on a daily basis, and they have to really prioritize all of their tickets and all of their requests. So giving them a deadline for something, that's not going to help them meet that deadline. And you know, they really do have to look at the priority level of all of the requests that they get. So if there's something wrong, you know, with your washer and it's making a loud noise, that's likely not going to be addressed by the end of the week, even if you put a need it by date by the end of the week, okay? The only time that I can really think when we would use this need it by date and when Mike and Chris might ask you to put sort of a deadline for them would be things like moves and admissions, because they would have to have, you know, everything either moved or everything in place by a certain date or a certain time when somebody is moving in. That's the only time that I think that that would be appropriate to fill out. For the program or site, you are only going to be able to submit requests or tickets for locations that you have access to within iCM. So if you're an FLD, you may only have access to your one home, and that's all you're going to see. As my test FLD, Thomas Jefferson, he only has access to our test home, Anne Arundel. Okay. If you're a senior FLD or a program director, you're going to see, you know, all of our homes for the county that you're working in. So you can input a request or a ticket for any of the homes that you have access to within iCM. In this case, I'm going to pick my test home and then request it by, it's automatically going to select me and it's highlighted in blue for you. But if for some reason you are submitting a ticket on behalf of somebody else and you want that person to be the point of contact, then you can click off on that me. And now you have the option to pick a staff person. So in this case, maybe, you know, Thomas Jefferson input it for me, Trisha Timmons. So I could change that, or I could just leave the me selected so that I'm the point of contact for that, okay? So once all of this is filled out, you can go ahead and click save. And it will take you back to this screen. And again, here you can see tickets just for the homes that you have access to. So if you only, I clicked on it, sorry. So if you only have access to, you know, one home, your home, those are the only tickets that you're going to be able to see in iCM, okay? So now I want to kind of walk you through some of these filters up here. You can filter the requests that you see down on the bottom by date. So if you say, you know, I want to see all of the requests for my home from the beginning of October until the end of last year, you can do that, and then you can click filter. Nothing's going to come up in here for my test home, so I'm going to go ahead and clear that. This is assigned to role and assigned to user. For residential, I don't think you guys are going to find that very helpful at all. This is mainly going to be helpful for our maintenance team once a ticket is actually assigned to a person. That'll help them kind of narrow their view, but I don't think you guys will find that helpful. You could sort your data by the request type. So if you say, I want to see, you know, all of the HVAC requests that were submitted for a certain location, you can click that, okay? You can also search by priority. So while we will only be submitting normal priority or non-urgent maintenance requests within iCM, if you were to call in an urgent request, then later on or that same day, the maintenance technician is going to input that ticket into iCM for our records so that we can kind of see the work from start to finish on that. So even though you're only going to be submitting normal or non-urgent, you may see the urgent requests that have been called in for your home. So you do have the ability to say, show me all the normal and show me the urgent. If you have access to more than one site, you can say, you know, narrow it down by site. I only want to see this particular home when I search, okay? And then you can also say, show me the requests by staff. So if you want to say, you know, show me all the requests that Thomas Jefferson has input, you can go ahead and click that and it'll sort for you. And then for status, there are different statuses for the ticket. So the ticket that we just put in is now open. So the other statuses that it could be is approved. That means that it has hit Mike or Chris's desk and they have approved it and it's ready to move forward in the process. The next step after it's been approved is for Mike or Chris to assign that request or ticket to one of the maintenance technicians or to an outside vendor to address. The next one would be in progress, and that's going to be marked when the maintenance technician or that other vendor has actually begun work on that request. Deferred would be a status if maybe it was a bigger project that we need to wait until next fiscal year to start. So maybe we wanted to replace the entire deck on the back of a house, and we want to wait until after July 1st to go ahead and start that project. You may see deferred in those cases. And then completed would be obviously, you know, the work is done on this ticket now, so it's completed. So you can sort by the status as well, okay? So here is our ticket here. This is the status, it's open. So as it moves through all of these other statuses, this will change and you can see that. You can see the description that we put in. Once it is assigned to somebody, you can see who it's assigned to. And if they did schedule a date, you know, like this is when it needs to be done by, then you'll be able to see that as well. I do want to point out to you this little comment bubble over here, little chat bubble. You click on this, you can insert a comment. And this you can also use our mentions feature. So I know you've heard me talk about that before, so I just kind of want to show you how that would work in here. So if I was, you know, I was Mike or Chris, I was a maintenance director, and I came in here and I had a question about the maintenance ticket that you put in. Maybe it was for Joe's old TV and Joe's cisterns need to be removed and the new TV needs to be mounted to the wall. So if I use that @ symbol and then maybe it's Trisha Timmons, I'll alert myself. Maybe, you know, Mike or Chris has a question. Are we throwing out the old TV? You're asking me to remove it and put this new one up. What am I doing with this old one? If I go ahead and click save, then the person that I mentioned will get a little alert so that they know that they have been mentioned and they can go back in and they can answer this question. Also, you have the ability to attach a file. So if you wanted to take a picture of it, maybe you put in the description and you're like, I'm having a little hard time explaining exactly what the issue is. It might just be easier if I show them what the issue is. If you take the picture and upload it into your computer, then you can go ahead and attach that as a file. Also, for program directors and probably for senior FLDs, one of the documents that maintenance would like us to start uploading in here would be the move request document. So anytime we have an internal move and we have to fill out that form, we would be submitting the maintenance request within iCM, and then we can go ahead and attach the form so that it's all, you know, housed in one location for all of us and everything's kept in one little home, okay? Also, just want to point out, you can't just attach something. You always have to have a comment. Now, you don't always have to mention somebody in your comment. You could just, you know, type a comment. And that's a great way to kind of see the progress on a ticket. But you do have to have a comment entered if you want to attach a file. Okay, I'm not going to attach a file because I'm working on my personal computer and you guys don't need to see my personal files come up. But I'm going to go ahead and save this and I want to show you how the mentions works. Okay, I'm actually going to come up here. I'm going to log out and then log back in as myself. And here, because I mentioned Trisha Timmons, you can see this little bell icon. I have 2 alerts. You can click here, or you can click over into my work on the left. Either way, it's going to take you to the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And if I come down to mentions, you can see that I have been mentioned in a maintenance request in the comment section, and it will tell you exactly what that request was. So it says, hey, are we throwing out this TV? Sorry, this was another example that I had down here. You can close that out. You can also click the little I symbol, and you can mark it as red so that it's not bolded and it doesn't have, it doesn't tell you that you have an active alert over here. Okay. So if you get something like this and somebody has asked you a question for this, you can now kind of click out of this, go back into the maintenance request. Sorry, my dashboard looks a little different. Find my ticket, and then I can come over into the chat bubble and see, I can see the old comment here. So whoever sent me that comment, maybe it was Chris that sent me the comment. There we go. So you can mention them back. That way they get that same alert that you just got. If you were just to type the comment in, then they wouldn't know that you went back in and updated the comment. So make sure that you mention them back. Whoever mentioned you, mention them so that, they know that you've answered them back, and say, yes, TV is broken and needs to be trashed. And go ahead and save that. I'm not going to save it because I don't want him to get an alert for here. But that's how you can do it. And it's a great way to kind of streamline our communication in here, instead of, having to email somebody and then figuring out, okay, what is it that you're referring to? It all goes back to the same ticket. Okay. The other thing that you can do, and I know this looks a little different from yours, but the other thing you can do is print a maintenance ticket. So wherever you see this little green printer icon, you can click on this, and it'll print the details of your maintenance request. What we do not have right now is for it to print the comment section, but that is coming soon. But again, if we're all working within iCM and trying to keep as paperless as possible, there's probably going to be a limited number of times that you actually need to print this out, okay? All right, so that's pretty much it with maintenance requests. If you have any questions, you can reach out to your supervisor first, and then the supervisor can go ahead and reach out to me, and I would be happy to clear up any confusion. Okay, thank you.